this episode.
In 1901, at Spindletop Hill near Beaumont, the future of Texas changed dramatically as, like a fountain of fortune, thousands of barrels of oil burst from the earth towards the sky. Soon, Detroit would be cranking out Model Ts by the millions, and America was on the move, thanks to the black gold being produced in Texas. Now, more than a century later, the vehicles are different, but nothing else has truly changed. Sure, there may be many other alternative energy sources like wind and solar and electric. But let's be honest, America depends on oil and entrepreneurs. And if the USA is truly going to be independent, it has to know the crude truth.
Well, hello again, and thank you all for tuning in to this live episode of The Crude Truth. As always with me is my co-host, Kristy. How are you?
Really excited today.
I am super excited, and I don't know if anybody's been able to be seeing us while we've been getting ready. Thank y'all all so much. Our guest today is not only the founder of Athletica, but also the national spokesperson for Parler Social, Amy Robbins.
Hey,
Amy, how are you?
It's so good to see you guys. I feel like this is we're going to have a lot of fun on this show today. Probably too much fun for a Crude Truth like conversation, but I'm ready for it.
I agree. And we have been just building up now for goodness, 20 minutes, just anticipating to be here. And already the thoughts that we've been discussing and really the actions that people are taking to censor freedom of speech are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Obviously after our last episode, I was like, I got to have you back on. But now is more imperiled than ever to have you back on. I was like, you got to meet Kristy.
Yep.
And that was really
you did. You said that the first time. We were like, you got to get you back on. Kristy's got to be here. She's got to hear this conversation. And so I'm glad to be here.
And now with everything going on, with Parler coming back out, it's amazing how many people actually like, oh, yes, I knew of Parler.
Yep.
And you now being the national spokesperson for them. It was just, the time was right. Then I want to do a quick shout out to David Blackman, who got banned last week, off of LinkedIn. No nothing, no anything. It was like, he was off for 5 days, no warning, no anything. And that was like, okay, we got to do this.
Could they pinpoint it back to a specific post or conversation that he was having that got him to that point?
You know what? I think if you go back and look, I think there might be one or two.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But no, let's jump into Parler real quick. And why that is so interesting and so awesome right now.
Well, I mean, it's a very important solution, an antidote to what is going on with other big tech platforms. So for those in the audience that may not be aware with what happened to Parler 1.0, let's kind of back up just a little bit and remind everybody what happened. So in 2000, the first Parler started years and years ago, but it really came to the forefront of everyone's mind when the president at the time was Donald J. Trump got kicked off of Twitter. Do you remember that day? It was like an unprecedented day. Yes. If you would have asked anyone in America, is the president of the United States going to get kicked off of a big tech social media platform, nobody would have believed you, right? They kick him off, they censor him. And then a lot of other people had been noticing this censorship, a lot of it on the conservative influencer side or the conservative media side, but other people too that had some differing opinions during COVID about the vaccine, about medical freedom, really started to see their reach was declining. They were starting to see that they were getting warnings that they were spreading false information or misinformation. They would get sensitivity warnings. People couldn't see their posts. So people were waking up to this idea that, we had been ringing the alarm for a while saying, hey, this is happening to us. This is happening to my company. And people didn't really believe us. But after that moment, everybody's eyes kind of awakened, and Parler was there to be the solution. They were the only free speech platform at that time that said, for those of you that want to come and share your opinions, freely express what you believe in, come to our platform, you have a home. So overnight, they went from, I don't even remember what the starting number was, but like tens of millions of followers overnight. It became like one of the largest and fastest growing apps in the App Store at that point. Move forward to January 6th, and a lot of what happened during that time got pinned on Parler. So even though there were people that were utilizing other platforms to coordinate or discuss or have conversations, Parler is the one that got basically blacklisted. They got taken off of AWS cloud server, which that means they can't operate anymore. And then from there, Google and Apple decided to use their ever-changing community guidelines, ambiguous community guidelines, to say, oh, well, you're allowing what we deem to be hate speech on our platform, and they took them out of the App Store. So overnight, the app dies. So I don't know if you guys remember, I got on Parler, and I think I was on it for maybe a week or two, and then I went one day to go get on it, and it just kept refreshing, like it didn't do anything. And then the word got out that they've been banned. They got taken off of their cloud server. They've been taken out of the App Store. And it was really kind of the first time that people said, okay, like big tech is colluding with somebody, like something's going on here. They don't want competition, and they definitely don't want the ability to not control the information that's getting out. And that is what Parler was really set up to do from the very beginning, was allow people to come, share information that they want to share, and then allow you as the user to decide which part of that you want to listen to. Doesn't sound horrible, right? Falls in line with our First Amendment. And so then the app itself basically just stayed dormant. It didn't do anything for a couple more, probably about 3 more years. And that's when other platforms popped up, and they said, you know what, there's actually something to this. Elon buys X, tries to turn it into this huge freedom of speech platform. So they noticed there was a marketplace for it, and there was a market for people that really wanted to not be censored and not have their voice shut down.
Yeah, and you know, you talk about Elon. I saw a Twitter post that he put the other day that he responded to. That somebody put a post on Twitter that said, "All 100 top CEOs support Kamala Harris," and I guess he's one of the 100 top ones. So he responded going, "That's false. I didn't respond." Like, so
that's
like
actual misinformation.
Yes, it's like that's actually true misinformation.
Yeah.
But you guys now have been. Parler's blowing up again.
Yeah, Parler is back. Parler came back in December and back online in February. So we are back. I will tell you this, that we have flown really under the radar, intentionally so. We have some really big plans and are unveiling some really neat things. But mainstream media, you know what they want to talk about? They just want to talk about how they, put out the flame, how they won, but they didn't win. At the end of the day, they didn't win. Parler is rising from the ashes, and what we're doing in this space is really incredible.
Well, what I think is really neat is you do Parler, and y'all come back with Parler, and wouldn't you know it, somebody gets fired from Fox News, gets paid bukus of money for saying something that was probably true information, and gets fired for that, and all of a sudden he goes on a tour and Parler is right there with us. Talk about that.
We have a wonderful partner in Tucker Carlson. So Tucker has been a big fan. He really used the first version of the app a lot when it first came out. And then when we resurged and had a resurfacing, he got back on the platform. We have a partnership with him where he reads ads for us on his podcast, which has really been awesome. And then we heard that Tucker was going to go across the country. And at first we said, well, what is this? What is this live tour that a political pundit is going to do? No one has ever done this before. Really, no one can draw crowds like him or, the former president, honestly. Like how many people could fill a stadium of tens of thousands of people just to hear them have a conversation? Well, Tucker has a very strong voice, and he's very powerful in this movement, talking about just how important it is to protect our freedom of speech. And so he wanted to go across the country and have these uncensored conversations, because he says, you know what, it's hard to censor a live event.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Smart.
And I loved that. Yeah. It's very, yes. And he was spot on. Let me tell you, it is hard to censor a live event. The media might try to take the clips that he posts and keep it suppressed, but you can't stop that energy. And you guys were there. You were at the Fort Worth show with Parler. So we're glad to have you.
It was awesome. And thank y'all again for the opportunity to go. It was there at the Dickies Arena, and that thing holds thousands of people. It was packed.
Packed. Yeah, the Fort Worth one was they've all been really well attended. And that is what I've been so excited about, that, the media wants us to think that we are so divided, that the country is in this state. I mean, like, both sides of the media really do an injustice and a disservice to the American people, making us think that everyone hates each other. Everyone is so divided. And then when you come in a room like that and the energy is actually really happy, people are so kind, and you're just in this room knowing that you're with other like-minded people. I thought it was really important. I tried to get everyone I know to actually go and participate and hear the speakers, because let me tell you, that was a very diverse group of speakers, ranging from Russell Brand who spoke a lot about faith and the spiritual battles that we are seeing in this country, all the way to Roseanne Barr, who's just Roseanne Barr, and did her Roseanne Barr thing in Fort Worth. And all of that to show that there are so many people that were getting to hear this message, and then to wake up and realize, okay, this might be a bigger problem than anyone really knew. And so it was great. And I was gonna share some information about Tucker. This was just something I observed while I was there that I thought was so neat. He had a different speech in every single city. And not once did he use a teleprompter. And he got up there and talked for 30 to 45 minutes, almost just talking about the state of the country, and very specifically tailored to each city. And I just thought that was amazing. I know I shouldn't be shocked, because there's a reason why he's #1 in media. So we were really just proud to sponsor. We were proud to be a part of that. He picked us as a sponsor to be there with him. And so we were really proud to just be there on that journey with him.
Well, I thought it was really neat how, one, he was doing everything that he was, and like you said, he spoke for 30 minutes, no teleprompter. But also that he brought on a gentleman named James O'Keefe.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why I want to bring this guy up is he did a journey, for those out there, from the very bottom of Mexico all the way up with the migrants. And I've been thinking now for months, and Genevieve Collins, I know they love going to the border, right? And I'm like, who's going to be the person to actually do the tour?
The actual journey.
The actual journey. And he did it, and I hadn't heard about this at all. And talk about media suppressing. And it's it's just been ridiculous.
Well, he said he was going to unveil something big live at that tour, and he did. And so they're going to be streaming that. We hope to. So that's one of the neat things that's coming up with Parler, is we are actually this week launching what's called Play TV. So we knew not only does there need to be an alternative in the public forum space when it comes to social media, we really need this entire alternative ecosystem to everything that's out there. We need a good, viable alternative to YouTube. When they demonetize, deplatform, and censor people, we all can go through a list of people that we know who have gotten their YouTube channels taken down for whatever reason, speaking out about something that Google doesn't want them to speak out about. And we need a platform that is not going to do that. And that is why we are launching Play TV. So it's really neat. So we will actually be able to integrate the long form video format and short form videos called bursts into one app. So you have the ability to toggle between all three of them, all within your Parler app. And that's coming soon. It's all available on the web version right now, but it is coming soon. We'll all be integrated into one place. You can watch your videos right there in your Parler app. You can watch your bursts. If you're a content creator, you can share and promote your videos from your Parler account.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Yeah. So just providing alternative distribution places for people who have traditionally had their voices silenced.
We had our voices silenced here on LinkedIn recently, and we were trying to figure it out, and we figured it out, obviously. But I'm like,
probably as you start talking more about politics or, anything like that, as long as it doesn't align with the powers that be, you will notice that your views go down, the engagement is going down, everything.
Yeah, it's just. Yep. I mean, we have a business to run, and we're allowed to, speak on this platform. But
let me share a little story with you guys about something that just happened to me recently. Please. I don't know why I haven't thought about this.
Yes, please tell.
They have been doing this to my company, which is in the 2A space, for several years now. People always tell us we cannot get to your store in the shop our link in our bio.
Yes.
All right. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. We're following all the rules. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to do. There's not like a customer service number that you can just call over at Instagram and get a hold of anybody.
No.
So I decided to do a little experiment. Do you have the video?
I do, yes. I got a good video on that.
Awesome. Is it ready to
People, especially in the two-way space like myself and my own company, Alexo Athletica. So here's a little experiment to show you exactly what's going on, and you're not going to believe your eyes. So when I say I am being shadow banned, let me show you exactly what's going on. Right now I'm going to type in the link to my website, alexoathletica.com. Let's go back to my profile. Let's actually click on the link in my profile and see what it says. Here it says the site security certificate is not trusted. Okay, well that's a little unusual. People may try to refresh it, but let's go and see if I can open it in an external browser, and then let's see what happens. So here's Instagram, once again, keeping people from getting to my website by trying to scare you into thinking that we're stealing your information. Okay, well, let's go back and let's try a different link. Just a link to my personal website, amy-robbins.com. Should be safe enough, simple enough, but why would they be shadow banning that? Let's see if they do. Oh, same thing. The site security certificate is not trusted, even though we have everything that we are supposed to have on our website. So let's refresh the page. Tells you the exact same thing. And then let's go and add a link just to see for fun if it will let you get to CNN.com. Oh, this will be fun. Let's see what happens. I go back to my profile. Let's click on the link. Ah, what do you know? Instagram allows you to get to CNN.com through.
There you go.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Kinda.
That was real time too. So there was no editing. That was literally me just doing a screen record of my actions, what I was doing. And I could not believe my eyes and I've known it because our traffic has totally decreased from Instagram. But this is why I wanted to partner with Parler. So Parler is going to be creating their own marketplace. This is so amazing because, once you're integrated onto the Parler marketplace, which our company will be, then you can use the platform to actually promote it. So I've never been able to get my products into the Facebook and Instagram store. They always tell me that it's flagged or banned. They say because we're selling weapons, which not true.
Yeah, if you don't mind, real quick, for those of you that may not know who you are.
Yeah.
What is your product, real quick?
Yeah,
I know it's not today's show.
amazing.
But let's talk about that for a minute.
Of course. But it really does tie into why I so wanted to partner with Parler and do this job, because they are out there fighting the good fight. And for companies like mine, there's a lot of people in the two-way space who have seen their engagement or go down, but then also be completely deplatformed. And I'm like, Parler really is a wonderful place for people in the two-way space to go and to share just what they believe, the ability to train, defend, protect yourself, whatever it is. Those videos get completely shadow banned on Instagram. And so, our stuff actually allows women to be able to carry on body. And for whatever reason, that is not allowed in the marketplace there, but it will be allowed on the Parler marketplace. And so I encourage everybody who is looking for an alternative place to get in touch with our team over at Parler, support@parler.com, because we can help you get integrated into that marketplace. And then when we roll out our really robust features, like our reward system that we're very excited about, you will be able to use those rewards in our marketplace.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Changing America, basically.
The world.
Yes.
The world, changing the world, giving people alternatives and the ability to utilize, not just so this is one thing that we're doing that's very different than any other platform. We're actually, how many times do you sit and scroll and spend endless amounts of time on your phone? Does Facebook reward you in any way? Does X, do any of these platforms give you anything back, or do they steal your data, sell it, and they make billions of dollars off of you?
Still that and your energy.
Of course, and your mental
and your
energy,
mindset, all of it.
All of it. It's dopamine scrolling.
It is
what it is. And they intentionally manipulate
They
through
do
their
it.
algorithms how to keep you mindlessly scrolling.
Because they
on-
listen to you and then
yeah.
everything pops up.
Yep.
Yes.
And so that is one difference with Parler is we will not be building in that algorithm that makes you
Okay.
just dopamine scroll. We
Good.
actually want to use social media for good. We want to create new positive interactions on social media because the mental health crisis in our country is just so big. The amount of teens that are bullied, the amount of children that are trafficked and groomed. The FBI has recently put out a report that says over 500,000 predators are online social media every day looking for their next victim. That's terrifying. So first and foremost, Parler is committed to being the platform that is going to fight human trafficking. We are a porn-free site. We're the first free speech porn-free site.
Thank
Because we
God.
know that is a gateway to human trafficking.
Yes.
And we are putting our foot down with it. That is something that we are not going to be standing for because we want people to have a safe, secure, and positive experience on our platform. So from there, how do you really change behavior on social media? Well, we got to reward them somehow. So we are going to be having a wonderful rewards program that actually rewards you as the user, not just the content creators. They will get rewarded as well, but you will get incentivized for the work that you do by liking, sharing, commenting, and actually participating in positivity. You're going to get rewarded for that. And that's something that's extremely different than any other platform right now that's out there.
It's building a community, a safe
Yep,
community,
exactly.
and you're able to interact and
Yep.
meet people on this. This
Yeah.
is, huh,
You like it?
I love it.
Well, you've touched on so many different things just now, from child trafficking to, how they're censoring things
Yeah.
on the other side. And I've got another clip that was just done the other day to where they're saying that we're the fake people and we're coming up with a conspiracy. So I've got this video of John Kerry at the World Economic Forum. And I don't know if these people are getting old and slipping but we'll play the clip
Yeah.
and then I'll get to it in a minute.
Really hard to govern today. You can't, there's the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact are kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways. And
So
that's
you're
really
questioning
dangerous.
really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing. And to me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States?
Democracy can't. Okay.
Okay.
There's so much there.
There's so much there. Like, first and foremost, what I think someone needs to create is what's called a tyrant translator, where they're actually translating at the bottom of the video what he actually means and says.
Yes.
So when he says things like, what was he saying? That basically he's saying like, oh, we don't have the control anymore. We don't have the power anymore. That is what this freedom of speech thing is doing, is it's taking away our ability to control the information that people are hearing and then deciding for themselves, as if that's a bad thing. Self-select. Him talking about being able to self-select the information that we consume is no different than what Nazi Germany did, the Soviet Union, China. Like, that's what they do, is they suppress information and only allow one form and one stream of information to be consumed by the people, because that's when dangerous ideas happen.
Yeah.
You get dangerous, crazy ideas, and you can hold the government accountable for what they say. When you can criticize your government, You know, they actually kill people in other countries that criticize the government, but that's what we should be able, that is the definition of democracy, being able to debate, criticize, freely go out and express better ways to do things. That is the definition of our democracy. Yeah.
Talk about mind manipulation.
Absolutely.
You know, not only are they saying that on ways to curtail and control the First Amendment, freedom of speech, but the thing in there that really concerned me the most is where he says democracy may not be fast enough to get where we need to go. I'll say that again. Democracy may not be fast enough to get where we go. So that means we need an old, again, the translator underneath this, we need to get an what do you call that? The one person, one government, autarians and stuff.
Like authoritarian government.
Yeah. We need to be in an authoritarian state to get done what we need to get done.
So we need enough votes. We got to find the people that will give us the ability to make decisions for you. And that is so scary. And I just sit here and think they're so uninhibited because they are surrounded by other leaders that think the same way as them, that absolutely hate freedom of speech. And it's not just in America. There's an uprising across the entire world of people wanting to speak up and to speak out. And you're seeing this censoring and this trying to suppress free speech all around the world. You see it happening in the UK. You see it happening, I think it was Ireland, wasn't it Ireland, prime minister that said, we're going to shut X off here in our country if you don't censor the conversation between you and Donald Trump. Like, what? Why? Are you kidding me? They said, because if you don't curtail that misinformation, well, who is deeming what is misinformation or not? That is always what's really important, is to actually see who is this that's pushing the stopping of misinformation, and who is defining misinformation.
Who's making the choice for us?
Who is making the choice?
What we can say or do or anything.
Well, you guys heard about the Supreme Court ruling that just they didn't even rule on the First Amendment. They punted it back to the lower courts. The issue came up, is the government, by putting pressure on a private company like Facebook or a social media company, are they infringing on our First Amendment? Well, the Supreme Court decided not to rule on that case. They pushed it back to the lower court, so there hasn't been a decision made. So in the interim, they can backdoor put pressure on social media companies to come in and say, look, if we say this is misinformation, you better do what we say. You better put this out there. But God forbid you bring up the Hunter Biden laptop, which that was completely suppressed, and that was deemed as false information, even though the FBI has now come back and be like, actually, that was pretty white.
What I thought was suppressed too, interesting and suppressed. Is it 23andMe, the DNA?
Oh, yeah, what just happened with all that.
But who took over the news platform?
Oh, that's a great question.
P. Diddy.
Yeah.
So why did everybody resign from that?
From the board.
There's something with DNA going on, and then nobody speaks of that, but they'll, P. Diddy.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just saying.
What do I know? It really is crazy what we're seeing unfold right before our eyes.
In front of us.
They're not even hiding. They're hiding in plain sight, and they're actively working against our rights. And it's starting with our freedom of speech, because if we can't criticize any of the other rights that are going to be taken away, if we don't know when they're fighting against or trying to pass legislation that's going to suppress your Second Amendment right, or your freedom of religion, like whatever it is, if we don't have the ability to hear that information and get it out, then we can't have a debate and a discussion on what we, the people, would actually like to see. And that is why we have to have alternative forums and alternative places to have these conversations. That is why it is important for places like Parler to exist that are not going to go in there and censor what you're saying. If you have an alternative idea about something, well, guess what? We believe that you are adult enough to be able to make the decision. Go and do more research. If you think something is not true, then you can actually go and dig a little bit more and find out for yourself what you want to do with that information.
This is just a random question. Is somebody going to monitor like anything abusive or threats or anything?
Great question, because let me tell you what has happened in the past under the guise of complete free speech, right? So you have on some of these other platforms hundreds, and we'll go down the pornography route, hundreds of millions of pornographic, including child pornography and including non-consensual intimate images. There is no law on the book because they're covered by Section 230, Article 230, which like basically protects internet service providers from the content that's being shared and passed on their platform.
But yet a bartender for over serving somebody can go to jail.
Yeah.
And we can't speak, but you can have porn
right. So what has been happening
sense,
under the guise of free speech is that they're allowing illegal activity to run rampant on their platform, including some of these human trafficking violations. And so what Parler has said is that we still think that there needs to be an adult in the room.
Sure.
And we still want to be able to say, like, look, our stance, we're very clear and transparent in our community guidelines, though, about what we're actually looking out for. So like true hate speech, actually inciting violence against people, well, that is illegal.
Yes.
So we don't allow that illegal activity to take place on our platform. We block all and any pornographic images that come across. So you know what, your OnlyFans account, like it's just not going to take off on Parler. So there's plenty of other, there are plenty of other platforms out there that will promote that for you, just not going to happen on Parler. And again, because it goes back to wanting to create a safe and secure environment. Everything we do is centered around that, from your data and how we store it, how we track it inside the app. Like, we do not take and sell your information to advertisers. If you in the future decide, as we get advertisers on the platform, that you want them to advertise to you, guess what? You're going to get rewarded for that. So now you're becoming the beneficiary. You're not the product anymore. We're not taking all of this and selling it to the advertisers and making the billions that other platforms are. We actually want you to be in control of your experience and in control of what you're doing. So that is, in a nutshell, a lot of people don't really understand what is happening under the name of free speech. And I always fall on the side of, look, freedom comes with the good and the bad.
Of course.
That is, I mean, like, that's what we believe in. We understand that. But I am under the impression that a private company needs to be the one that sets those rules. It does not need to be coming down from the government.
No.
It does not need to have a backdoor way for the government to suppress information by them telling us what we need to hear. But you know what? If a private company wants to have their own community guidelines, which they need to be able to stay in the App Store, they get to set those rules. And as long as there's transparency and users understand and know what that is and what they need to follow, that is extremely important to us. And so transparency is very important to us.
It really is. And kind of going back to the fact checking, you know, I remember that whenever you wrote a report, I had to go back and show where I got these facts from, what book, who published the book, what year
Real
it was
journalism?
done. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, now after that, did I go, no, but you know, you could still even continue to go back, but these days of real fact checking, they're not there anymore.
They don't exist.
They're not teaching children how to, or even, you know, college kids anymore, how to do something. AIs can be very useful. I mean, you know, oil and gas, I get it. But when all you're doing now is typing something in and you're pooling the data, you don't know where that's coming from. What sources?
Who's monitoring it?
Who's monitoring all this information?
So
it is just something that's been scary. And in fact,
it's almost like we need to do educational courses on that to even teach people how to do critical thinking, because I think we've lost that ability to critically think in our country anymore. We read headlines, and both sides are guilty of that. Both sides of the media are guilty of headlines because they know that we're busy. They know that they get like 5 seconds of our attention, and that's it. And both sides do it. And so we really need to retrain people on how to read the article, critically think through that article, see if there's a slant, see what's going on, read multiple sources. You know, if John Kerry had his way, we wouldn't be able to self-select our sources. We would be given a government-funded source of all what they call as accurate information.
China and Russia.
But just sit down and be quiet, because this is what you get. Yeah. So no John Kerry. That's a whole reason why we have our First Amendment, so that we can self-select what we want.
That's why we're here. And that's why there's groups like Real News, Sandstone Group. So thank you all to y'all. And the podcasting has changed the game.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. And that is what's so exciting, is that this independent media is popping up. And they're getting more views. That's why it's scary to the legacy media outlets. No one's watching them anymore, but they still have a lot of power. But these independent places for you to go and to share your message, I just encourage people not to be fearful, to stand up, to start taking a stand, to start sharing your opinions, to start sharing your beliefs. No matter if you're thinking it's going to get suppressed or not, come to Parler and do that.
Yeah, share.
You've got a home. You've got a place to come do that.
Parler, you guys just put out a response statement to the John Kerry information, a lot of things. And we'll put that up and we'll talk about it while people can see it.
Awesome. Yeah. So it's really great because we put this up because that was ridiculous. Like that has got, and it's not getting enough traction. It is not circulating enough. You sent it to me and now luckily I had already gotten the op-ed before, but I hadn't seen the clip yet. So you sent me the clip and I was like, well, this is perfect timing and exactly what we need to talk about today because it's not getting circulated and people aren't seeing it. And so what we did was we put out a response to it, a very straightforward, very powerful op-ed that we put on our website. And what we would love for people to do, you can go and actually find the like the headline basically on our Instagram page. You'll see John Kerry's picture on there and then the link is in the bio. What would be really helpful is just go share that. They can't stop people from sharing it. They can stop and suppress the masses from seeing it. But what helps all of that and what helps move the message forward is when we share each other's messages. When you find information like that you find important. So I would love for everybody in this audience to go to our Instagram to find that link, or you can go to parler.com. It's in our newsroom and you'll see the article, the opinion right there, and pass that along. Everybody needs to know this. If they are not on social media or in politics every single day like we are, they might not know that this is going on, and it is important. And so we are a resource. We have wonderful resources with our news articles and our op-eds on our website that speak directly to this. And so you can actually go and share it with all your friends, and we would love it. Text it to them. I text links all the time to my parents, like then share it in the platform. You know, you got that little share button on Instagram that you can share with people, but the article itself is hosted on our website, and it's a really great one to share with everybody.
Love that.
Yeah.
Sharing is caring, right?
Well, also, if you don't feel like you are really well versed on a topic, especially when it comes to free speech, if you don't really understand, why is it that important? Why do we really need to fight to protect that? You know, is it really that bad that we're getting suppressed on social media? Our resources on our website are so good to just help you start to formulate your arguments and to understand why our rights being under attack is actually important.
My church is actually doing it's politics, but politics or something like that. And so yesterday was all about the freedom of speech, and people don't understand. And whether you're on this side, that side, it's the power of coming together in community and do your research on whoever you choose and understand who you're choosing and stick to those vows, your morals, your values, everything. And that, if you believe in God, then that will, take you where you're supposed to go. It's not red or blue. And who came up with the red and blue in the States and all this stuff. That wasn't.
And a lot of people talk about the politics that gets suppressed. Like one political view tends to skew towards conservative views, right? But there's other people too that I get messages now that I've really been speaking out about this and sharing this. They're like, man, I don't post anything political on mine, but I post a lot about God. I post a lot about my religion, and it's usually Christianity that's getting suppressed. And so it's happening.
That's what
not
they said,
just not just on the conservative media side. It's happening and you want to talk about like freedom of religion actually falls under that. And so like that's in our Constitution. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about Christianity getting suppressed.
That's a whole.
That's a whole nother.
That's a whole thing, because at the end of the day, the Constitution in America was founded on Christianity beliefs. Now that doesn't mean that you can't come here and believe in.
No, we actually have freedom of religion.
You have freedom of religion.
Yes.
But the laws that are made for this country were based off of Christianity beliefs, and that's something else that
God we trust.
And God we trust. It's on our money. It's in my opinion, in my belief,
Yep.
more importantly, that's very important.
Yeah, of
And
course
we-
it is, but you should still be able to disagree with it.
Yeah.
You should
Sure.
still be able to go and worship and choose. Or you should also be able to choose to not worship anything
Anybody.
at all.
Yes.
If you don't want to.
Yeah.
Nope.
And these are the things that are under attack. It's just right now, freedom of speech is in
trying
the
to separate
spotlight.
everybody.
Yeah.
They are trying to divide, trying to separate. And that's why it's more important than ever that you find a place for community. You
And that's
find people, whether or not you like everybody on the platform or you agree with them. I actually like reading. I actually follow different media outlets.
Yes.
I don't just follow conservative media. I follow all of them because I want to hear both sides,
Yes, of
and
course.
I want to have conversations with people. What I don't enjoy are the bullies and the trolls that just come on there just to say mean things but have nothing of value to add to the conversation. Like, let's
why
have
are we here?
let's actually have a conversation. That's where progress is
Yes.
made, when we can sit down with one another. So if you want to go and spew whatever you want to on my Parler account, I have an account, the Amy Robbins, on there. You can go and you can disagree with me all day long. But like, cool, let's have a conversation about this. And
How about let's adult and communicate?
yeah, exactly. Like, now, do I
Not
get the
hide behind
haters
the
and the
screen.
trolls? Yeah, like that's going to be everywhere.
Of course,
and
no
that
matter
also
what.
falls under freedom of speech.
Sure.
Like,
Yep,
sure, do
it
you
does.
have the freedom to go and do that with your time?
You
Sure.
do, and if that's
You
what
absolutely do. But I also appreciate the people who will leave comments and say like, well, like, have you thought about this? Or what about this? Like, I
Exactly.
disagree with this. Like, I'm always doing that on posts, especially when it comes to things in the Second Amendment community. I'm like, have you guys ever thought about, how do we harden our schools? Well, let me tell you, posts like that do not get a lot of traction on big tech platforms, but they do on Parler. That's why I like Parler. I can have this conversation with people about what do we actually do to make our schools safer. I don't know, should we lock our doors? Should we, there's things we can do besides infringing on law-abiding citizens' rights right off the bat. And that being the only topic of conversation. But you will actually be able to have those conversations on Parler. That's the difference. You don't always get to have those conversations. You might not even see it. You might not even see an alternative or opposing view on any of the other platforms, but you will on Parler.
And that's something that we were talking about beforehand, and that Kristy mentioned while we're on, is like, for this episode today that we put out, that's live, put it on LinkedIn, Instagram, and I'll say it on there, I'm nobody special. But for this to only get maybe 300 impressions, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like,
That is not normal for me. I get thousands, and I'm like, what the heck?
I mean, look at Chris. Kristy's going to get thousands of impressions here.
It's not just this. It's even the stick in the ground.
They
for
want to know what
drilling.
you have to say. It's very important.
No.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Even the stick in the ground that we're getting ready to drill our new project, and that one didn't get as many as it normally does.
Yeah. Well, once you kind of have that shadow ban, so to speak, this ambiguous shadow ban,
You gotta
that's what we
switch
all
it up.
call it.
Yeah,
They've
exactly.
never
You're putting
admitted that that's
yeah.
what they're. Even though Zuckerberg did just come out and admit that the government put pressure on them regarding certain topics.
And that didn't get much play.
Of course not.
It did
Why
not
would
get
it?
much
Yeah,
play.
I know. It did from us, like all the people. We talked about it until we were blue in the face, But you're right. Like overall, that just is not really going to be. That's not the story that most legacy media companies. And right now, with everything around the election, it's just really hard to kind of insert other things in there.
Yeah,
That's what I said. I think it's because elections coming up that we're getting banned because we did a lot of, obviously.
we've had on some people.
Yeah.
But
We're going to have to just do like oil-based only, or you're going to have to trick the system with different hashtags.
okay.
This is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to find some crafty way to circumvent that with the CNN is my favorite, whatever
go.
it is you want to put on there. Yeah.
What did I do? Big government is good.
Big government.
I love Facebook.
How about this
see if they let that,
algorithm?
see if they let that circulate. Yeah.
Amy, with this tour that y'all done, what gives you hope? What was maybe, I'll just tie it up, what was something that gave you hope? What was something that you really liked? Because, and do you think Tucker Carlson will be as a media person? But what gave you hope, and what was something exciting about this tour that you just went on? I'm going to use the word conservative tour, but I probably could have a better, if I would have had time, I had a better word than conservative. But it was a very fun thing with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you went across the country.
You went across the country. I think that's what I loved the most about it, was to see the energy across the entire country, people hearing the same general themes in messages, and then to see, okay, I think that people are really energized about this election. I think that they are going to go out, they're going to do their part, hopefully more so than even came out last election, and participated and let their voices be heard. And I think for me, that was really one of the most exciting things, was that, look, you actually got in a room with thousands and thousands of people, and you saw that you're not alone. Like I said, a lot of times the media wants to keep us divided. They want us to think that everyone hates each other. And that was just not the vibe.
You guys are bringing community
in this arena. That was a community. People do love each other. People are concerned for the direction, the future of our country, but people want to do something about it. And they were really energized afterwards, I believe, to go out to tell their friends, to take their friends with them, to participate in democracy, you know, and be a part of history.
Yeah. I think so. I think that was something there. I think it is history. And what I mean by that is just because of the fact that things are now being shared in like that weren't being able to share, like the James O'Keefe thing, Roseanne Barr, who millions of Americans can relate to. Okay. And I think maybe that's why, like, you know, because in the 1980s and early 90s, middle America was that.
Yeah.
And then when she came back on, middle America was right back. It's all a cycle, but you were right back there, and they saw it real quick. We got to cut her off.
Oh yeah.
And
that was her aha moment too, because she was not, I would not say politically on this side before that.
Dude, speaking of, not to get into it, but she even talked about like how she feels like she's like a grandma and how that was interesting. That was, she kind of talked about how things that were happening to children there in California. That they would come up to her and talk to her about it. I don't know if she's that rosy or not. But, you know, hey, can I talk to you about that? But hey, like Kristy said, you know, sometimes just talking to a complete different person, like you never know, and opening up sometimes is
gives you a different perspective.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah. So I do want to end with this. I would love for your audience, if you're not already on Parler, come back and join us. Just go to parler.com, whether you have iOS, whether you have an Android, you can download it straight from the website, and come join the conversation. We need more people having these conversations wherever you fall on the political aisle, whatever you believe. We welcome all of it on Parler. You're going to be able to test out the Play TV app here very soon. We do have a web version right now where you can start watching some of the videos. Hopefully we get you guys, get your podcast over there on Play TV as well. But just come and join us. This is such a critical time, and we really want and value everybody's opinions.
Perfect. Well, Amy, I cannot thank you enough for doing this. This was awesome. I was very excited.
Not enough time.
Yeah, definitely not enough time. And just in case for all the women out there that that need that safety when they're out running and doing things, where can they find your website?
I wish we were in the Parler marketplace already, because I would say go and use your rewards and go and buy it. But for right now, you're gonna have to go to alexoathletica.com and pick up some. They're called gun pants, affectionately known as gun pants.
They're actually kind of really cool.
Love it.
I can pack anywhere.
I love it. Yes, you can check them out at alexoathletica.com.
Well, Amy, thank you so much, Kristy, as always. And to everybody out there that tuned in today's episode, we cannot thank you enough. Again, quick shout out to Parler for all the work that they're doing. And again, thank you to the team effort today of Real News Communications and Sandstone Group for putting this live episode together. Thank y'all all, and we'll see you again on another episode of The Crude Truth.